All right, y'all. Now it's time to get back to Nintendo again. So we have more information about keycards, and there's been more things being updated. There's also been more people in the community talking about it, so it's time to cover this, right? This is definitely going to be interesting. There's a lot definitely to talk about on this because the President Fukuwara came out, and there's also been other statements. So we're about to get into this. Are you ready? Like, comment, and subscribe. All right, Nintendo President Fukuwara says that they will work hard in helping third-party publishers sell their games on Switch too. I think that should have been um, something they should have already had available day one, like probably a 30 gigabyte option or whatever card. That way we would see who really wanted to do what they want to do. Now you're going to have to wait. GameKey cards were conceived to bring games to retail despite larger files on Switch 2. Publishers were consulted on this approach. Um, well, there's also an issue too of like fitting games that are not 64 and not even close on there. You know what I mean? And then you got some people saying certain comments. We're gonna get to. There's some interesting things in this thread right here alone that are enough for the video. Because we'll get to this, which actually leads over here. Like this guy right here. The issue with game key cards is that publishers of games that exceed the standard card aren't the only ones using it. Atlas, Sega, Capcom are all abusing it. They're putting games at less than 30 gigabytes on these things. In a way, what he's saying, some of them are abusing it, but that does not remedy the situation. Some people won't care. This guy says, I don't see that as a problem at all, nor do a vast majority of gamers. Atlas is owned by Sega. You're separating them as if these two are different companies. Then blame the publishers for being lazy, not Nintendo. Nintendo should offer cheaper card options. This is a thing that people would talk about. So if they did this, I think at that point after, if they still chose to do that, then that would have 100% clarified that it's mostly third-party publishers choosing to do what they're doing. And I think for the majority, they still would continue to choose the other route. They just want pure profit. Everybody does. Everybody's looking for that. Well, you can't fully blame Nintendo is that they at least provided some sort of option and that they're preserving physical. But one thing I will tell you about this company that doesn't surprise me is that they've always been about what they're doing for themselves. It's never been about third party. It's extreme opposite of PlayStation. Though now that percentage is opening up more than ever, that's why I was not surprised. But yeah, I agree with them. I think if they had this would have helped their situation a lot better. Just adding in these options, and why not still do it? You can still do it, or talk with somebody, say, hey man, let's work out a deal or something. And if somebody came to you and said that, that means they would care because they were looking for that option. So many ways to take a look at this, right? Depending. This person right here, though, this is a separate comment, but we have to laugh at them because they said, I'm kind of afraid, it might be a pony, that once Sony drops their new handheld, Nintendo's going to be left choking in the dust. Oh boy. Talk about high level delusion, level 99. Yeah. How does it feel to look stupid enough? I had to like that because it was so funny. I'm sorry, there needs to be some entertainment in this video, so we're going to do that. Let's go down and take a look at some other funny stuff. There's a 0% chance Sony will be able to overtake Nintendo in the handheld market. Third parties aren't going to abandon Nintendo when it's literally the most successful console platform. They're either going to have to adapt to the changing market or die. Well, that's kind of a crude statement, but basically the reason why anybody has their consoles for their games, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's 97% because of them. This has literally never happened before. People just being dumb. We got to make fun of them, y'all. I'm sorry. They're just dumb. But continue to go down. Let's look at some more comments here. Game key cards offer most of the downsides associated digital games. I agree because I ignore them. I think if I wanted a damn key, I just do digital or whatever. You know what I mean? I might as well just be digital. Why am I going to waste my gas to go to the store to get the appearance of getting a physical? But when I open it up, I don't get that look like Link does when that golden light shines when he opens the treasure and that da 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 da. You know what I mean? It's like womp womp. What is this? Mm. I mean, why make all that to do that? That to me is what I just don't understand. We're gonna get into some more projections on this too, but that's always been my thing about Genki cards. I have been digital for the longest. And to me, it makes no sense to get up and get something to take up space in my room when I can just do digital without it taking up space. I'm a space efficient being. I don't like all that stuff sitting around, hoarding any of that type of stuff. Not to say that that's always what it is, but to me, I'm not with this. So I think also a good thing to do is see what these people that have been in this world for the longest think, because this is what they do. They go on the go. Think about it. When you go on the go, guys, this is why physical is also important for Nintendo more than any other platform. Cloud is not available everywhere like in Japan. This world is much bigger over here in Western society. So you'll be hit offline unless you're gonna do some tethering or something, right? Um, so when you're offline, you need to be able to, you know what I mean, make sure not everything's DRM or whatever. So I can understand why they approach things a certain way. Because like I said, Nintendo community physical is still a very big thing. They have not dropped it. First party is still full force. Handheld is on the go with that too. You know what I mean? And also saving storage space because it doesn't take up space if it's actually on the card. So this guy right here says game key cards offer the most downsides associated digital games, combined with the inconvenience of having to insert a physical card into your system anytime you want to play it. Nobody should be happy with this worst of both worlds approach. That's what they said right here. So like, you know, everything's available day one patch. I enter it and then I play. I don't need to have internet. And this is a third party issue that's going on right now, which we're going to talk about other things too, because people are saying because of this, sales are down. As a matter of fact, Matt Piscatella had shared and said that sales, third party sales on the Switch 2 compared to 1 are way better. Of course, because like I said, it's not a party, a platform where you go for a third party. No, now more than ever it may be in the Nintendo world, yes. But most people are going to Nintendo for 90% first party. Now that they're trying to expand their third party, though, like I said, yeah, this is something that is definitely needs to happen. But we need to wait for their install base to grow and then measure third party success. Definitely, like I said, when it's not the main reason people are getting it. For like a limited market that was available at launch for games that you have on your PC, laptop, you know what I mean, PlayStation or whatever at better settings. Most people already play those games. So I just think that that's a hollow projection that people are trying to put out as if like it's doing bad. And then there's people, there's grifters, there's haters, there's anti-Nintendo minded people. There's that duality of aspect there on the other side of that spectrum that just want to farm that and they're just going to do that. You know what I mean? But in reality, it's like they're successful though. You know what I mean? They broke the launch records, all Sony's records they have. You know what I mean? Everything is doing well, but they're not going to highlight any of that because that's just the narrative they want to push. But what this person says is interesting too. So, and this guy says, LOL, how about no to game key cards instead? Strategize how to fit the game on physical cards with the capacity that's needed. I like that strategy. I think that would be a good approach. And then after that, it's like, okay, so since all the strategies are laid out in front of you, think about this, Nintendo. I gave you your 16 gigabyte. I gave you your 32 gigabyte. At least just do those two options. Now, if nobody chooses that and they still go to the key card route, then that lets you know what they want to do. And I think, hear me out, if there still was that 16, if there still was that 32, and if there was even an 8 or a 99, this stuff still would be going on because that's how grifters are. Hear me out. And that's how the anti-Nintendo hate is. They would still complain that key cards exist. And there would be hypocrites on platforms that don't preserve physical saying it, like they're doing now. That's my problem with the situation, as I was telling people before. So this person says game key cards should be restricted to only games that have file sizes so large that they cannot otherwise fit onto a cartridge's memory. Exactly. So if you have all the options, though, up to 64, 8, 16, 32, 60, 64, and they still choose to do that, but that can fit on there, then what should that tell you? Because that is happening with some of them. Why is Marvelous? I want to share something with you guys. Let's add this in real quick. Marvelous Games. Nintendo. Game card. Marvelous has confirmed their upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 physical release include Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma, Story of Seasons, Grand Bazaar, and Daemon X Machina. Titanic Scion will contain the full game on cartridges. This company is not that rich. Compared to Capcom, Square Enix, they're poor. And they're doing it. Why? But why were they not doing it? They have way more, 100, 200, 3, probably 1,000 times more money than they do in totality. That's why I said that when you start to sometimes realize that if you cannot be deceived by people to think that this is only Nintendo. That's insane because they're the ones preserving physical. If they didn't care about it, they wouldn't be preserving it. No, it's also these third-party publishers too. It's both. This is what we do over here. We give you balance. I told you where they made their mistake by not offering all those options, because if they did that, they wouldn't have been able to been as criticized, because that just says that they ignored all those options and they still chose when they had the game to fit on that capacity and be fine. They still chose to do the key card because they just want more money. And they have way more money than Marvelous Games right here. These people, they're awesome. They're preserving it. That's what makes me want to support them even more. Daemon X Machina was a Switch 1 exclusive, but they didn't make it a Switch 2 exclusive. They just let it go third party. Nintendo's not really like that. They trust in their own development. But yeah, these guys right here, just so people could just know about them in this video, they're the ones that are preserving. Kind of interesting, isn't it? Just saying, it's just something to think about. But yes, this is a very good statement right here. Now, so let's go over to certain sources and let's see what they say here. I think that was something that was very important. I put the community first because I wanted to see what they thought in the Nintendo world. People, what are their actual feelings? Not people that don't have the thing. They're not even fucking playing it and didn't even buy it. I don't give a damn about what you think. I want to hear about what people that have experience think, because that matters to me compared to people that don't have experience. You know what I mean? I prefer to hear from people that have experience. Same thing with games and everything else. It's just better that way. That's why I like to have my own experience and talk. So it says third-party publishers were consulted on ideas for Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards. During Nintendo's annual shareholders meeting on June 27, 2025, a shareholder asked a question about game key cards, saying that they usually hear about third-party games not selling on Nintendo platforms, and proceeded to say that even though game key cards are half-baked measure, with little appeal, many third-party publishers are using it. They asked whether game key cards have something to do with poor sales or third-party games. Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa stated his response by explaining how game key cards work. He then went on to say that the company will work hard in helping third-party parties sell their games. At least he responded and said that. And that the larger file sizes on Nintendo Switch 2 games brought about their creation. He didn't answer the question on how game key cards affect third-party sales on Nintendo Switch 2. Like I said, when it comes to that type of stuff, that's pointless to even talk about it. It's way too early. Another shareholder shared a transcript of the same Q&A in which Furukawa was quoted as saying that game key cards were conceived as an option for publishers to bring their games to retail, and that they have been considered ideas for game key cards together with third-party publishers and proceeding with selling games on the new physical format. I mean, I guess. It's just... And this is what they're talking about. This is what this person posted. These were originally posts from Japan, by the way. Translated right here, it says, the key card does not contain the game content itself, but rather a key for activation. Yeah, I'm just going to do digital. A download is required when playing for the first time. So if you're in handheld on the go on the time, you have to find a way to get access to internet if you don't have it. Oh, I mean, who doesn't really have it? But you know what I mean. Just still, though, this is still for people who you never know. It was adapted because the internal storage capacity is larger than that of the Switch. That makes sense. Not this other stuff we were talking about when you have the capacity and everything else. We will make efforts to ensure that third-party software sells well. There was a part that was hard to hear, so the knots might be slightly different. This was a response in Japan about what they plan to do. That's how that headline came out after that. So I can get you guys the source so that you could see where the hell this is coming from. And then there's this going on too, Nintendo shareholders meeting report. We don't have to read all of this, but basically it's the same thing that comes down here. And then we have The Switch 2 software key card has a specification that combines the downsides, they stated downsides, of both physical and download versions, and it's not very well received. There's an opinion that third-party software sales might suffer. We prepared it as one of the options. We will proceed with sales while discussing various considerations with third parties. See, they're looking at it. They're not ignoring it. For detailed and accurate information, please check the minutes that will be posted on Nintendo's official website. That's why I said when it comes to this type of stuff, this is temporary. This could be remedied. They can do their job by providing more options, and then after that, we're going to see more things. That's why it's good to wait on information, because then we can do all this with all this right here and get it all in one good aspect. But obviously, we want to be keeping up to date on this as well. So yeah, you guys know. No, we're not doing that. I have to wait on more information on that too. So you guys know pretty much what I think now about GameCube cards. I don't like them. I don't care about them. Well, I'm fully digital. I've been for a while. I used to do physical, even on the Switch. I was doing physical for the longest, and then I just decided to just that shift hit in me, and I just was like, okay, yeah, let's be digital and piss off GameStop anyways. Nah, but do that anyways. But nah, but yeah, I made the shift a while ago, so that's why I didn't even care about this. I'm like, now that I like fully looked into it, I you know what I mean. I see how the community feels and all that. I get it. Like I said, I've understood it before, but now getting everything that I get now and getting the full picture, yeah, I could see that making sense. But for the majority, though, we're always online. Because it's like me saying, if I'm getting digital, obviously I need to be online and download it. And if I'm going there to get that, obviously I need to be online and download it. No matter what, I need to be online if I'm digital. You know what I mean? With there, though, it's just, yeah, put on the damn card. But other than that, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Like, comment, subscribe. All right, y'all. Peace out. Like I said, I'll do another video in the future if we get more information about them adding more options or whatever. So there we go. There goes the video on this. Later.